Well, hi there everyone, and yes, we are doing another tier ranking video today. And today we're going to be looking at various types of hybrid masks. Now, hybrid masks are like full face masks, but hybrid. So typical full face masks have like this triangle shaped cushion that go over your nose and your mouth, and they sit on the bridge of your nose, while hybrid masks sit just off the bridge of your nose and tend to sit just under your nostrils. Often they'll have slits in them, they call them nasal cradles, that allow you to breathe through your nose without having pillows up into your nostrils. With one exception, but we'll get to that in just a bit. Now, hybrid masks are becoming increasingly popular in the CPAP world. You'll see a lot of these we're going to talk about today are new style masks, and a lot of manufacturers are moving to that hybrid system because you get a lot of the benefits that you get with nasal breathing masks when you go to a hybrid over a full face mask. And that is that they're a little bit more flexible, they don't get pulled off your face as much, they don't cause the red marks on your nose, but you do sacrifice a little bit of stability that you would get with a traditional full face mask, and some of that extra bit of sealing. But most people find hybrid masks well good enough for their uses. So I'm going to look at 9 very popular models of hybrid masks today, and I'm going to rank them against each other in a tier list. Now, we've done a few of these before, they're very popular. As always, jump in the comments and let me know where I'm vastly wrong. These are all my opinions, this is not gospel, but let's dive in and take a look at what categories we're going to be putting these into today. So, you might remember that the last ranking video we did, I took a little bit of a spin on some songs. And it was kind of my fun creative outlet. This time, I decided let's do movies with CPAP puns. So here's what we have. At our top tier, we have my favorite movie of all time. If you disagree with that, that's the one we can fight about in the comments too. Lord of the Masks, The Return of the Sleep. Yeah, that'd be a fun one. Okay, just sitting below that in terms of the next tier down from that will be Silence of the Masks. This will be the hybrid masks that are really good against leaks and are very popular but didn't quite make it into my Hall of Fame Lord of the Masks category. Underneath that, I've got Sleepless in Seattle. Now, you may not know, but RespShop is in Redmond, Washington, which is a part of Seattle or outskirt of Seattle. So that's our HQ. We love Seattle. In this case, Sleepless in Seattle is not necessarily the best thing. We want you to sleep well. But beneath that, we then have our worst category, Nightmare on Leak Street. Yeah, you can fill in the blanks and you get the connotation of what that one's about. So these are the masks that we're going to be putting through the ringer today. I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of each and where I would put them in this ranking system. So let's start with the popular and newish mask, the ResMed AirFit F40. Now, I call this a newish mask. I think ResMed released it, I'm going to say a couple years ago, and it was a brand new model for them. It wasn't a reiteration on an old model. And it had a few fairly revolutionary sort of features of it. One of them was that it had an all silicone cushion. There was no hard parts to it, which means that the cushion is very soft, very comfortable, and it fits around the contours of most people's faces, which does have a couple of drawbacks we'll get into in just a bit. But that was a big benefit for the comfort side of things. It also has a different style of the straps. The straps came out and then up, which gave you a bigger field of view. For someone like me that wears glasses or likes to read before going to sleep while the CPAP is on, then it's a nice benefit. I like that too. And also it had a new quiet vent system on the front attachment point where the tubing goes that had good rotation, added a lot of diffusion to this mask. So we did some tests as well, and the sound abatement on it was really good. Now, there were some drawbacks on this mask, and of course, it wasn't everybody's cup of tea. Now, that silicone cushion, some people found that especially at high pressures, that it can leak out. And that's just because there's less sort of hardness to it, and any kind of sort of build or pinching up against your skin, air is going to leak out of that. So you have to really dial in the fit of this mask, otherwise you might find that to be an issue as well. It also is a little bit harder to clean that diffusion foam that's in the mask, so it just takes a little longer. But overall, I still really like this mask. It's reviewed as a 3.77 from 48 reviews on RespShop.com. But because it hasn't been liked as much by the community at large, if it were to me, I'd be putting this in my Lord of the Masks as our first induction into there. But you guys do complain about the leaking and the like, so I want to be fair to everyone. I'll stick it in rank 2. That's as far down as I'm going to put it, but disagree? Let me know below. All right, up next, an old timer, aren't we all? Philips DreamWear. Now, Philips once almost ruled the CPAP world. They've had quite a fall from grace, and slowly their products have been disappearing from the CPAP industry. But a couple of their masks remain, and this is one of them, the DreamWear, and their full face version of this model. And it's a top of head attachment mask, which means the tubing comes up around the side and it has the tubing that connects up here, which is generally good for side sleepers especially. Now on the DreamWear, the seal is generally good, and it's a solid, sturdy mask, but it is pretty old, and technology has kind of come on a little bit since then, that there are probably better options out there now, but this is still kind of a stalwart from an age gone by. But some of the cons on this mask. One is, it's loud. It doesn't have the same diffusion technology that the newer masks do. On the cushion at the front, it just has drilled holes where the air rushes out, so that can be noisy. It can be a pain for any bed partner that might be sleeping next to you. So that is a bit of a problem. The quick connection on top of the head isn't as good as like the F30i would be with ResMed. And the tubes that go up by your ears, they can be noisy, especially if you side sleep and put pressure on them. And some of the newer masks have some tech in there to try and offset that a little bit that the DreamWear does not. Another thing, I don't know if you know any of the backstory with Philips, but they've had some issues. They had recall issues with their CPAP machines, while they also had a recall issue with the DreamWear. The magnetic clips on this mask were caused to make issues for anyone that uses a pacemaker. So if you use a pacemaker, something to consider. They did recall those clips and the new ones don't have that, but still generally a good idea to avoid magnets if you're someone that does use a pacemaker. So overall, if this review was done a few years ago, this would probably be ranked up higher. But as it is, especially now with the more recent users finding that this mask has some shortcomings, it's a bit of a legend. I can't put it in the bottom. I'm going to just stick it up one. This is going to go in Sleepless in Seattle. Ooh, next one, the ResMed AirFit X30i. This is a fun little guy. Now, this caused quite a stir when this mask was released, I'm going to say a year ago. It's a bit of a unique style. So it's a hybrid mask because it has a cushion so you can breathe through your mouth. But instead of having a nasal cradle that just sits underneath your nostrils, it actually has pillows. So the pillows go up into your nose so you can have better seal typically than a nasal cradle. And it's a bit of a unique style. It also had new air vent system on it that again was to help with the noise levels. We did tests. It was working. It's very impressive. So good noise levels, has the top of head attachment, which I personally like. And it gives a new style of mask for someone who really wants the stability of nose pillows, but also sometimes find that they breathe through their mouth. So checked some unique and cool boxes there. But it's not a perfect mask by any means. We'll get into that. There are two pretty major cons with this mask that you need to know if you're considering the X30i. The first actually has something to do with that quiet vent system. That foam inside it can get pretty damp and it can grow mold, and there's no way to clean it. So you need to replace the cushion on this mask, definitely following ResMed's replacement schedule, which you should be doing anyway. However, the X30i consumable parts are expensive. More expensive than any other kind of mask that we're going to be talking about today, and I think actually just any mask in general. So the usage cost of a CPAP mask for the X30i is particularly high. It's a good idea to stay on top of your replacement schedules with masks, and that's just going to cost you more with an X30i. And because of the way the air vent is, it's actually even more important to do this. So A, it's very expensive, and B, a major con is that the pillows and their positioning, it's fixed, right, compared to the cushion. So it only really works well for certain face shapes. And if you have a face shape that's different from the one that ResMed was kind of basing this design off, maybe your chin sticks out further, or you have a pointy nose, or some way that there's a smaller gap between your nose and your mouth, then the cushion and the pillows probably aren't going to line up just right for you. And you can change this a little bit using the straps, but at a certain point you're getting diminishing returns, and a lot of people are just finding that it doesn't seal quite right unless they have that perfect face shape, which if that's you, then you've just scored probably the best mask that you could hope to find. So a few people love this mask, but a lot of people find that it doesn't work for them. So if you want to take the risk and try it out for yourself, you may be very, very happy. And the good news is, if it doesn't fit well for you, then, well, you're covered under RespShop's 60-day mask guarantee that if you use any of these masks and you want to return it for any reason, even if you've been using them, you have 60 days to do that for a full store credit. So that's a pretty nice perk that we offer you. But as it is right now, I hear a lot more complaints than I hear people that love this by some way. So I think for a lot of people who spend the money on this, it quickly turned into a nightmare on Lick Street. Oh boy. All right, up next, another Philips mask. This is the Amara View. There's not a huge amount of things to say about the Amara View in terms of its features. It's a pretty just standard hybrid mask that has the front of cushion attachment, unlike the Philips DreamWear, which attaches at the top. Now again, this mask has been on the market for a number of years, and it's kind of one of those leftover Philips models that I imagine at some point will be discontinued. It doesn't seem like Philips is investing new innovation into this industry. There's nothing particularly standout to talk about with the Amara View, and it is a little bit bulky, a little bit more cumbersome than some of the newer models. So one big benefit that it has is it's cheap. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly option on this list to see if hybrid masks work well for you in terms of its style, then the Amara View could be a good entry point for you, and it could always turn into your backup mask if you decide to upgrade to something different at a later date. Now, what are some of the cons of this mask? Well, like I said, it's a little bit bulky. There's a lot of hard plastic on here, which can be uncomfortable for users. And the air diffusion technology on it is also pretty bad, pretty old. It's quite loud, and the sound, the air that pushes out can very easily reflect, especially off like sheets and the like, and move around. A lot of people complain about air rushing when they use this mask and noise. The tubing connection on the front can rotate a little bit, but it doesn't swivel the whole way around either. So with nothing particularly outstanding and a few potential concerns, the leak rates on these aren't necessarily great either. Online reviews are fine. It's got a 4.11 from 47 reviews on RespShop today. I'm going to stick this. I feel like it has to be below the DreamWear. You guys are going to think I don't like hybrid masks, but I'm putting this on our nightmare on Lick Street. Again, as a sort of backup mask or an entry-level mask, could be good. But if you're a more experienced user or you know what you like with CPAP, it's probably not this. Let's talk about some pretty popular ones here. This is the ResMed AirFit F30. We've got the F30i and then the AirTouch F30i as well. All ResMed masks, all slightly different. And let's get into the F30 to begin with. Now, the AirFit F30, you can kind of think of this as the most sort of bog standard ResMed mask on this list that we're going over today. It's pretty much their F20 model, if you're familiar with that. That's kind of the sort of standard full face mask that sits on a nose like this. They've pretty much taken that and changed the cushion shape from here to make it a hybrid mask. So if you like pretty standard features, this is a front of a cushion connection point of your tubing as well, so it doesn't come up the side. But think of like your classic hybrid mask. This would be that. This would be ResMed's version of that. So again, high quality, good air vent diffusion, but maybe some of the missing newer tech stuff that's on some of the other F30 models that we'll discuss in just a bit. But a very popular, long-standing mask is the F30. A couple drawbacks with this mask though. The connection at the front where the tubing goes, this elbow joint on the front of the face, is pretty hard and it's not as flexible as some of the other masks now. And it's kind of hard and awkward in the space that you don't really want it to be. So some people do find that to be a bit of a nuisance. Also, the straps on the side of the face go closer to your eyes than some of the newer masks do now. So again, if you're a glasses user or you find that seeing the edges of the straps in your eye line can be annoying, then that will probably happen with the F30. Like I said, this has been a long-term mask. The online reviews are pretty good overall, a 3.83 on RespShop currently. And it's been a pretty popular choice. There are a couple drawbacks, but if you're looking for a pretty standard hybrid mask, then this could be a good option for you to start with. I'm going to put this right there. Disagree? Let me know. All right. The very similar ResMed AirFit F30i. What does that I mean? Well, I cannot tell you what the I stands for. I have no idea. But what it means, I can tell you that. Any mask of ResMed's that ends with an I, it means that the attachment isn't at the front of your face for your tubing, the attachment is at the top of your head. Now, I really personally like this style of mask. They're very good for side sleepers, and which is me. So if you find that if you're a side sleeper and you move around a bunch at night, this will allow for good rotation at the top of your head, so you can toss and turn and it shouldn't upset your seal as much. So a good option there. Also, it's a ResMed mask, so it's high quality, the fabric is nice. It does have the straps that curve away from your eyes. The quick connection point at the top of the mask is great to quickly take off if you need to use the restroom during the night. Oh, bonus tip. If you find your quick connection point has gotten worn or breaks, you don't need to buy a whole new mask. RespShop has you covered. You can't buy just a quick connection point from ResMed, but RespShop has made these fit any of these eye masks of ResMed, so you can pick one of those up, save you a bunch of money. Check those out on RespShop.com. Always good to have one spare as well. So, of all the masks we're going to talk about today, the F30i is the best reviewed of the lot of them. So if you're looking for a hybrid mask and you sleep on your side, this could be a great option for you to check out. There are a couple things about it that some people do complain about. No one's perfect. Hey, I'll agree with that too. And those are, it doesn't have air diffusion foam in it. It just has the drilled holes in the cushions. So it is a little bit noisier than some of the other mask options. Also, if you're side sleeping, it has the tubing that comes up the side of your face like so, where the air rushes through. Some people find that's close to their ears. It can be noisy. Some of the newer masks, like the one we're about to talk about after this, has some ways to offset that. So just overall noise levels might be a little bit higher. If you're a heavy sleeper and everything else checks out for you, then I definitely recommend the F30i. You guys probably thought I didn't like hybrid masks because nothing made it to our top tier. Well, we're going to have our first induction, the AirFit F30i. I feel like the eye is perfect for Lord of the Masks because of the Eye of Sauron, if you get that one. Anyway, oh yes, boo! All right, confetti, well deserved. AirFit F30i, go check it out. I'm leaving links to all of these masks in the description below, so you can go take a look at them on RespShop.com. Okay, last one in this F30 series is the AirTouch F30i. Both the clear and comfort, I put them together for this. They're pretty similar, but this is the newest masks out of any of them on our list here today, and they're pretty exciting masks. Now, the AirTouch F30i models are very similar to the AirFit F30i that we just talked about, with three key differences. Number one, the cushion has fabric fused to it where it touches your skin, which makes it very comfortable and very soft. A lot of people love the AirTouch variants of ResMed masks, and I'm one of those. The drawback of that is that they do need more regular cleaning and more regular replacement because they're a little tougher to clean. It's fabric, it's absorbing things more. And it can also get a little bit more slippery as the sweat and the like is absorbed. They can move around your face a bit more, but for comfort, if you can handle that sort of slippage and the sort of more regular replacement, then they are really nice to use. Second, the cushion is all silicone. There's no hard plastic in it. So again, very comfortable. But at high pressures, that's when people start getting that ballooning and they start getting those leak rates. So I recommended that if you use a pressure setting of 12 AHI or less in your pressure range, then these are super comfortable and you shouldn't have the same issues with any kind of leaking in your masks. And thirdly, the two option variants, the comfort masks, has fabric wrapped tubing that goes up around the side of your face. So that's nice for comfort again, and also it causes less breakage of your hair or discomfort on your scalp. But if you go for the clear version, it's easier to clean. The comfort one is a bit more tricky to clean because it's got more fabric in it. And lastly, another difference with the AirTouch model, so there's actually four, is that it has the quiet vent system, which is a new vent system that sits on the front of the cushion. It's like a circular disc, which is different than just the AirFit F30i. Really good tech. I think we're going to start seeing this on more ResMed masks because it really does make a good difference to the noise levels. There's no way to clean it, but they're very easy to swap out as you need to replace it following ResMed's replacement schedule. Again, everything else with the AirFit F30i is the same. It's a top of head connection point, great rotation. And if you go with the comfort variant, where it has the fabric on the side tubing that goes near your ears, it does dampen the sound a little bit too. So lots of good things to like about this mask. So like I said, these are the newest masks on this list, and so they haven't really got the historical data to back up the fact that I think they're going to become very popular models. So far, we actually have 4 reviews of these on RespShop.com, with an average review of 3.5. So if you're one of the early adopters that have used these, get on RespShop and let us know what you think. And I am suspicious that the reason it's slightly lower as a rating currently is they're probably being used by people that use pressure settings that are a little bit higher. So do beware, like I said, higher than a 12 AHI in your pressure range. This might not be the best mask for you, but if you use light to medium pressure levels, then I highly recommend checking these out. I think they're really good masks. So it's going to be our second inductee to our Lord of the Masks. Cue Lord of the Rings music. Happy like that. Okay, last up we have the Fisher & Paykel Evora Full. Now, the Evora 4 is the only Fisher & Paykel mask that we have on this list. You thought I forgot about him? Well, no. I'm a bit of a Fisher & Paykel fan. Mostly it's because I just think it's good that ResMed has a bit of healthy competition, and I think Fisher & Paykel are innovating in this industry, trying new things, especially with their masks, and I'm really pleased to see that. The Evora 4 is one of their older ones in terms of a Fisher & Paykel mask from their kind of new look and new style, but it's still relatively new. Now, the Evora 4 has a lot of pieces, which is good and bad. The good is that it's really easy to clean it thoroughly. So if you're doing like monthly sort of real kind of spring cleaning of your mask, then you can really get in all the cracks and crevices with this mask and give it a nice little sort of refresh when you need to. But it does mean that there's lots of parts, so it's a bit more tricky to reassemble and disassemble and put back together. Just something that's, if you like, you might like, if not, you don't. But it's a very sturdy mask. There's few complaints about leaks. It's a popular mask in terms of its reviews as well. It's a solid choice for hybrid users. But as I've already said in this video, nothing is perfect. There are a few cons from the Evora 4. Number one is that the headgear does sit close to your eyes again, so another one of those examples of that. There's also no air diffuser foam. Fisher & Paykel have fixed that on some of their newer masks and has some exciting stuff that they're starting to use there. But back when the Evora 4 came out, it's still just drilled holes, so it's kind of noisy. Might be a bit off-putting for anyone that's sleeping next to you. Or you, if you find that you're a light sleeper and you get woken up by your CPAP air rushing through your mask when it gets to those higher pressures. But the main complaint with this mask is that the joint on the front is not very flexible. So if you do move around a lot in the night, side sleep, back sleep, no matter what, it might get caught and get pulled a little bit. It doesn't have the same rotation that a lot of the newer masks do. So if that is a deal breaker for you, then this might not be the best choice. So despite its drawbacks, many people do like the Evora 4. I'm one of them. There might be people that sleep on their back or not move much. But if that's you and you want to try something a bit different, then I think this is a very respectable choice for a hybrid mask. I can't quite put it in the top level as much as I'd love to give ResMed a little bit of a run for their money, but I think it's pretty close. So this is going to be our third inductee to Silence of the Masks. And there we have it. There's all of our masks on our list. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Please do hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. It does really make a big difference to the channel. We love making this content for you guys. And get in the comments below. Let me know if you agree or disagree, what mask you use, why you use it. It might really help inform somebody else in this community, and I'd love to see what you think about it. Also, if you're new to CPAP and you're wondering if a hybrid mask is right for you, let me know your situation or your journey so far, and I can give you a recommendation. Like I said, all the masks we've discussed today are in the description below. And as always, friends, make sure that you sleep tight. Until next time.